Jazz hands, jazz hands.
Hey, I'm Cody from Unqualified Gamers, a podcast member of the GonnaGeek network, just like the one you're listening to right now. The opinions expressed are those of each individual. Check out other podcasts at GonnaGeekNetwork.com and get ready because geekiness begins in 3, 2, 1.
This is it. The part of your week where you get to put your headphones on, relax, and listen to a bunch of geeks geek out about geeky things. They're passionate.
I'm an IT guy. You should never delete. Most of the time you delete, you regret deleting.
They rage.
You guys are being like hypersensitive with your point to be offended. Oh, he deleted his Twitter account. Oh, I'm mad. What?
And sometimes they're even funny.
Tell your wife that I said hello again and sorry I couldn't be there tonight.
That's okay. Your wife says hi too.
Let me emphasize that. Sometimes. Welcome to the GonnaGeek.com podcast.
Hello and welcome to episode 110 of the GonnaGeek.com podcast. We are here once again returned to our beloved Tuesday 5:45 p.m. Pacific, 8:45 p.m. Eastern recording time. And it is complete because we are all here tonight. That's right. The whole crew is here. Myself, Stephen John Drew, Stargate Pioneer.
Hey, it's Director Pioneer, by the way.
Sorry.
Director
Stargate Pioneer. We have JS.
The secret space mission.
And of course, Chris Farrell for real.
For real, yo.
No, wait a minute. Is
Why'd I
that
do
faux
that?
real, like FAUX?
Yeah.
Or
It's faux PHO. It's like the
Exactly.
Vietnamese soup.
I like soup, guys.
right.
I like soup a lot.
He is the soup hero.
He's Chris the Soup Farrell.
Oh,
I've been called worse.
I forgot about that.
How big is his ring of keys if he's the soup?
I don't know. Chris, could you answer that for us?
It's ginormous.
It's Lord Humongous to you, sir.
Guys, I missed you last week. I know I was off visiting family, but the entire time I was sitting there going, I really wish I could get home because my car broke down and I'm stranded. So, yeah, that's what happened.
We did just fine without you. It's okay.
You did,
We could do it. Yeah.
You proved that I'm completely unuseful on this podcast. Thank you very much.
Totally unnecessary. We can just forget you for this podcast and we can move along. We need you for the network, though, so stay around. But as far as the podcast, we're cool.
Sounds good.
Steven, we should know. I'm the heart and soul of this podcast. I've been on it more than anyone else.
That's true. And you also do a terrific job of editing it, too, and syncing up the audio to the video for hours, slaving away.
Wait. Hold on. If anyone has listened to any podcast I've ever done, they know saying I lightly edit is charitable at best.
I heard that shot that SP took at you last week. I was like, SP.
I'm like Teflon here. It just slid right off.
That's okay. Editing doesn't matter. I almost said that without laughing.
Just grip it and rip it. Let's go.
All right, I am gripping it, and now let's rip it.
I feel the plywood set around me.
That sounds like a mix of the best movie ever. Star Trek meets Jurassic Park.
Yes. I agree with that
Dinosaurs
statement.
in space.
Two different musicians put that together. Of course, John Williams and then the late, the great, I can't remember his name off the top of my head.
John Williams. John Williams did.
Oh, you're
Jurassic
right. You're
Park.
right.
I don't know who did. I don't know who did Star Trek though.
James Horner.
Yes, James Horner. He just passed away recently. We did a segment on it a few weeks back.
Did we? Did we really?
Yeah,
I'm sorry. I'm drunk the entire time we podcast, so I don't.
Yes, we know. It's the bumps keep flying at places that we just were like, what? We were talking. Why? Whatever.
No, that's how he gets us to shut up.
That's true.
He just plays us off. It's like the Oscars, man.
I do. I would play you off right now, but I don't want to waste a bump. So there you go.
Ooh, I'm not even worth a bump. I see how it is.
Yeah, that's true. But you know what? You are worth delivering your news point.
Well, my feelings are hurt, so I can't do it.
Well, do it now.
Oh.
I'm going to tell you what to do because I'm the producer and the director.
Yes, sir. I'm sorry. No, so seriously, my news, I just saw this pop up on Facebook before the show started. Lego has signed a multi-million-pound deal with the BBC to create a Doctor Who Lego set that will include a TARDIS, Daleks, and Cybermen. It's due to hit the shelves in Christmas time. So I know we have a lot of Whovians on the network.
Yeah.
Or hooligans, as they might be referred to at times.
Series 9 starts in just a couple of weeks. Just excited about it. Although George Takei, right? Everybody should follow him on whatever social media he's on because the man is excellent. I don't know if it's him all the time or his publicist or
part of it's
his
media
partner.
team, I think.
Yeah, whatever. They do a great job. So there was a sign that showed a bathroom, and I don't know where it was in some airport or whatever. It showed a woman, a man, a handicapped, and then there was this funky thing that looked like a Dalek. And everybody's like, that's a Dalek. And no, they were trying to show shower. It looked like a Dalek. Everybody thought it was a Dalek. So there you go.
Your face is a Dalek.
I wish. I get more ladies that way.
I know that was terrible. Absolutely terrible. I'm sorry. I'm off my game. You guys just did such a good job last week that I felt like I didn't need to show up today.
Yeah, I'm telling you, we really don't need you.
Yeah, back to the Legos real quick. They're going to be basing it off of a design by a super fan by the name of Andrew Clark, who basically had submitted that through Lego's Kickstarter-esque venture. So they looked at that and said, hey, we're going to do something similar to this. So he put together a bunch of different sets. What they're actually going to deliver, we don't know. But current theory is, at the very least, will include the current Doctor, Peter Capaldi, and his current companion in the Lego set. But a lot of people are hoping for David Tennant and Matt Smith Doctors as well.
So what you're saying is Lego made a contest where you would submit your cool Lego and then they stole your idea and they're going to make lots of money off of it?
Absolutely.
And it's not the first time they've done that because they did it with the Back to the Future Legos, for the Ghostbuster Legos. They have, it used to be called Quoso or something like that. It was basically their Kickstarter for Legos where people would post their project ideas and the mock-ups they'd done and the fans could then vote and be like, oh, we think this is really cool. And once it got to a certain point, Lego would be like, okay, there's enough interest, we should make this. And as a grown man who still likes to build Legos, I think it's intriguing.
So what you're saying is they're getting a perfect pool of who's going to buy their products before they make it. That sounds like a genius idea, man.
And we know Lego has a bunch of super fans, so there's a lot of people invested in that website to see what comes out. So they've done a great job of gauging interest for specialty sets.
This is smart. Yeah. They did a really good job because JS is right. They know exactly what the fans want, who's going to buy it, and they've got a product that they can deliver on. So, and they had to spend barely anything to achieve that. So, smart Lego, smart.
And they don't really have to design the part because it's already pre-made, right? So all they really need to do is secure the rights. And who's going to say no to Lego?
So in the past, when it's come to these, like especially with the Back to the Future one, they redid a lot of it. They took the basics and they kind of put the Lego twist on it to make things more efficient or to look better because generally they're the experts when it comes to building something. So they take the basic ideas and then they put their own twist on it.
I imagine there is some supercomputer and some gigantic program that Lego has to optimize pieces and optimize in terms of durability and cheapness. Like they want to make the sets as inexpensive but as fun as possible. So I imagine this. No, I think it's just master builders. I think that they just have a few people and they're very creative and they come up with this stuff. It's great.
So if you want to see something really cool, go on YouTube and check out their videos by the master builders, and they'll describe how they came up with some stuff. Like some of these Star Wars sets, they describe how they came up with it. The guy's like, yeah, this is the third X-Wing I designed. I think I got it right this time, finally. He goes, this is the best one. Yeah, it's incredible just to see them describe how they come up with the ideas and how long it took them to come up with how to build that Lego set. But again, I'm also a huge, huge Lego nerd.
I think this is great. Yeah, I really do. And I think that it's something that going forward, it's more cool, geeky Lego stuff. And I love that. I really do.
Yeah. So in the chat room right now, Guest997 had asked, is there a Lego Doctor Who game? I think there's not a direct Lego Doctor Who game, but they're doing this game called like Lego New Dimensions or Lego Dimensions or something like that, and there's Doctor Who stuff plugged into that. And they showed some of that off at San Diego Comic-Con, and there was footage of Peter Capaldi seeing himself as a Lego minifig for the first time, and it was quite entertaining. I'm not even a Doctor Who fan. I was like, okay, that's pretty cool.
Oh, I didn't see that. That is really neat. That's really cool.
You know what I want? I want the Lego Oscar. I have to make that.
Oh,
You mean the Lego, like the Oscar the Grouch? Is that what you're getting at?
No. They made an Oscar. There was an Oscar joke, like the Oscars. The
yes.
gold statue.
Oscar the Grouch.
What?
yeah, with the trash can and the lid that comes up and down.
Sorry, Jay. Go ahead.
No, it's cool.
Oh, I'm such a dick. I'm sorry. I'm 2 weeks worth of Dick John Drew here.
So JS, I never saw that. Was it an actual size of an Oscar, or was it?
Yeah. It was actual size. It looked really good. They were all gold pieces. It was nice. I mean, it's not a fancy Lego, but it's a Lego I would like to have on my shelf for sure.
That's cool. That's great. But listener, I would love it if you would tell us what you have to say about this. You can communicate with us through a variety of methods, including GonnaGeek.com. You can tweet us at GonnaGeek. You can find us at Facebook.com/GonnaGeek. And of course, you can now call us on our phone number, which is what? No, I won't do that to you.
Wrong show.
No, I'm totally going to do it to you.
It's 304-806-ATGN.
Oh, how dare you? How dare you? It's 567-343-GEEK. That's 567-343-4335. I had to think about that for a minute.
This is what happens when you blind toss to me and I can't find the numbers in the show notes. I ruin it by giving my other shows dial in.
I know, I'm the worst.
Take a week off. It all goes to crap, man.
888-612-ARC1. That's 888-612-27.
Well, let's just plug all the GonnaGeek Network numbers. You can call unqualified gamers. No, anyways. Moving along in the news. Today, what I have on deck is a cool little Google project that I think has some really great potential, because this actually answers something, or is heading to answer something, that I've personally wondered about. It is a project called Project Rooftop. No, this is not a show tune of I was trying to think what the song was of Mary Poppins. They dance on the rooftop on that. Anyways, it has nothing to do with that. There you go.
Can't sing anymore. We'll get sued.
Exactly. I was going to say. But no, this is a project that is about solar energy. That's right. You may have wondered, I want the solar panels to be placed on my roof, but do I get enough sunlight? So how do you find that out? Well, if you live in a whopping 4 areas, you can look up Google's Project Sunroof, and it will tell you all about the efficiency, or maybe lack thereof, that you would get from using solar panels. Pretty neat thing. What they're doing is they're taking the advantage of the high resolution imagery that they're starting to capture, doing the equations and the math and all that, and making a recommendation and telling you the information on the energy you might save using solar panels, or whether or not it might be cost inefficient. It might end up costing you more to get that than it does you actually save. So a really, really neat thing that they've got going on. Like I said, some limited areas right now. I'm not going to dig up the towns, because one of them was randomly chosen because it's like where one of the developers' grandmother lives or something like that. So check it out. Project Rooftop. I think this is great, and I can't wait for it to get expanded further.
Did you see also this week they launched their cell phone service?
That's been out for a while in the States, at least. I don't know. It might be new up in Canardia.
Yeah, it's probably new in Canardia. It's an interesting service.
It's very interesting. You can only have a Nexus 6 with it, but basically will hop onto any Wi-Fi network and work that way. And I think down here they use T-Mobile and AT&T. I could be wrong, so don't quote me on that, for the cellular service.
That's it.
So I think we're going to see more and more cool ventures like this from Alphabet, not necessarily Google, because I don't know if we talked about that on this show before, but Google is now part of the holding company Alphabet so that they can spin off the random Google projects that didn't seem like Google fits into their own initiatives. But with this whole solar panel idea, I would love to see them develop a partnership with Tesla. Well, not Tesla. Well, Tesla. Sorry. Elon Musk with all the batteries they're talking about putting into people's homes. This would be a great combination. Like, hey, Google knows you're going to get a lot of sunlight here. Why don't you get some solar panels and then talk to Elon Musk's folks and put these batteries in your home so that you can use it to charge your Tesla or just to run your home at night and things like that. I think there's a great opportunity for collaboration here.
Absolutely. Yeah. Okay, so we have people on the network that live in the Chicago area, and anybody that's driven in and out of Chicago, especially between Indianapolis and Chicago, will notice the literally thousands of windmills in between there, just on the south end of Chicago. There are just fields and fields full of windmills and crops, of course, but the windmills are placed there, and they're all nice in a row, diagonal row, whatever. It looks really neat. And that's not the only place in the country. It's several different places. Matter of fact, they're putting them offshore or whatever. So alternate means of electric power is becoming more and more great. And then add into that the Tesla cars and the batteries and the fact that Apple wants to get on board with making cars, and because they have battery technology, although you'd have to scale it up from the cell phones or whatever. And then you go a step further, you add it into the home, you put some sort of smart charge or smart use in the home. Say you live up north, right? And you want to make your heating cheaper or your water heater cheaper or whatever. So you use off-peak electric power, which is turned on and turned off by the company remotely, because you get to save money because you're not using electricity when it's at its peak. So there are some dangers with that, of course, like they could shut you off and you like need air conditioning or something like that. But, it's definitely saving electricity, possibly saving the environment, and I think it's great. I would love to see that.
Possibly saving the environment. You liar, you. You're just like, cover up.
Well, okay, there's this big debate on whether using electric technologies will actually save the environment because of all of the toxic things that go around with the electrical systems and the batteries and so on and so forth. So while you're not polluting the atmosphere, you're polluting the environment by all these waste products that you're making and toxic waste products from the electrical systems themselves.
Also, mining the nickel is completely like disgusting to the planet.
Yes, it's not good.
We do not support that here on the GonnaGeek podcast.
No, but they support it strongly in China, and we buy it from them.
So we indirectly support that on the GonnaGeek podcast.
Yeah, I'm gonna figure we're all have something within reaching distance that runs lithium-ion batteries right now.
No, that's not true.
Isn't the world's largest remaining copper deposit in Canada?
I don't know. I really don't know. JS and I don't care about our country. We just have so much of it that we don't need to.
We have the biggest deposit of magnesium.
Oh.
Yep. Don't light that on fire.
No. Yep. But I'm really excited to see what Project Rooftop has in store. However, let's move along to SP's news. SP, what do you have?
So, Russia and the United States, they get along sometimes, they don't get along sometimes. And, we're actually living together right now on the International Space Station. And there's been some problems resupplying that sucker, right? So we've lost 3 total ships to go up there. And on 2 of those resupply ships, the Americans lost their wastewater treatment resupply. So they're hurting for water, and they're drinking their own pee, sort of thing. And apparently, but the Russian way to do it is to filter out with silver, and the American way is different. And so they can't even agree on the proper way to filter water from pee and from condensation throughout the air and stuff like that. So the article that I read, which is from Bloomberg Business, it seemed to say there was some sort of a spat between the two. Not really. It's a spat between the preference on what kind of bottled water or recycled water, I guess, the astronauts drink. So it just shows that there's different ways to do things, and they're still up there. And more importantly, I really hope they get a resupply ship up there pretty soon, because they kind of need it to, every once in a while you need to replace the light bulbs. You have a bathroom float that goes, toilet float that goes wrong or whatever. So, you need to replace these stuffs, like memory in your computer, hard drive goes bad, stuff like that.
Condoms for all of the space sex that's going on up there.
You talked about computers going bad on a GonnaGeek Network podcast. You just put the curse on somebody.
Yes. How dare you? How dare you?
I had a computer go down last weekend, so it's me.
Okay.
I put my own curse on.
Wait, you're a time traveler? I'm so confused.
He's a Time Lord.
It goes with the secret space program, and I don't want to talk about secret space program. I want to talk about pee in space.
Is that an initiative at NASA to fix that?
$1 billion problem.
Just
$1 billion
don't go.
problem.
Just don't go. Hold it the entire time.
Hold it the entire time. Alan B. Shepard it.
Oh man. Yeah, I would like to say I find this is interesting, and we'll see how they work it out, but I honestly hadn't heard of it, SP. So yeah, news to me.
Well, yeah, when you can't get supplies, stuff starts to break. It's the whole we will not fail thing of Apollo 13. I have every confidence that these guys will be able to make it to their next resupply. But
I agree.
In the meantime,
did you hear the conspiracy that Apollo 13 was faked to re-bolster interest because people had completely lost interest of? Yeah, it's true, man. There's people who think that.
That's amazing.
There's actual people who think that. I love researching this stuff. It's just.
I know you brought up the stolen space rocks from Sweden a couple of weeks ago, and now you're talking about this. You're great. I
love listening to that stuff. My favorite one right now is people who that think the Earth is flat.
It is. It all depends on your point of reference.
JS, like if I take a level and I put it down here, it's level. So that naturally means the Earth is flat.
Yep.
The logic is there. It's sound.
Yep. There, no, it makes lots of sense. I agree. There's actual people who think that.
I know.
I mean, I'd love to be the person who actually walks to the end of the disc and gets expelled. Mind you, it'd be pretty hard to walk to the end of the disc, but I guess people just don't understand physics.
It's funny. I actually got reading a while. I think it was about 2 weeks ago about the moon landing conspiracies again.
You can read?
No, I can't. Sorry.
I thought you just had Google read it aloud.
I did.
To you.
I used the Google text to speech. So it told me, and read out the Wikipedia article about the moon landing conspiracy theories and stuff. And it is amazing how shoot down the conspiracy theories all of the Wikipedia pages are, because it should be that way. But it's just like you can tell anybody who at all believes the conspiracy theories and have edited the Wikipedia pages have just had their changes undone. It's awesome. I love it.
But it's okay for you to doubt and to try to research stuff. It's okay to think the government's trying to scam you, but when you do research, you have to understand the research. I mean, it's the same thing with like vaccines.
Oh no!
Don't get me started. Do not open that can of worms on here, okay?
All right.
Please don't, because I will.
It's not because you see somebody who's done research and says that this is how it is. I mean, if you ain't going to believe the government, why are you believing Joe Schmo who works at Quickie Mart?
No, they're believing famous people that misinform people because they're famous. That means they must know what they're talking about.
Hey.
You know what? Being the most famous porn actress doesn't make you really famous.
JS, that was just a tip with Dr. JS.
Depends on your definition of famous there.
For sure.
If you had a lot of dick, you're not famous.
But that's going to go ahead and bring us to the end of our news segment. Should we go ahead and move in to this next segment we have on deck?
Let's do it.
Yes, please.
Alrighty.
Hey, GonnaGeek fans, Stargate Pioneer here. Steven's always whining out the podcast about how he thinks he doesn't get to talk about what he wants to talk about. We all know he's full of it, but let's appease him so he doesn't have a meltdown. It's time for Steven's Geeky Steven's Geeky Stuff.
I promise you, I actually have, you know how I went and I redid all of the bumps and the intros and all that for episode 100? I promise you, I actually have a replacement for this, but when I accidentally played it last time I did Steven's Geeky Stuff and JS loved it, I can't do it. I can't bring the new one in. I gotta leave this one here.
Just to spite us?
Hey, if JS likes it, it's right. The only time you're ever going to hear that, JS.
It's good, buddy. It's good.
Alrighty, so for Steven's Geeky Stuff this week, I have an item that you may have noticed a couple weeks ago, and you may have noticed it today. Does anybody have a guess what it is?
A new microphone.
You have something in your nose?
It's a new microphone.
It is the audio-technica BP40. Now, you guys might be going, whoa, Steven, where can I get your podcasting budget? Well, guess what? I don't have a budget. This was actually sent to me for review by Audio-Technica, so I'm cheap. I
Really?
don't own it.
That's cool,
Yeah.
man.
So I've been playing with this microphone for a couple of weeks now. And
Wait, are you selling out?
am I selling out? No, I'm going to give you an open and honest review here. This is actually
It's amazing. Go buy it right now.
So go to audio-technica.com. No, I'm just kidding. But this here is, I'm going to feature it today because I think it's important to do a condensed review. You're going to want to keep your eyes on the prize. That's GonnaGeek.com because there will be a full review with lots of comparisons, other things like that. But I'll talk about that in a minute. The Audio-Technica BP40, I'll give you the quick, condensed pros and cons that I found by using this mic the last couple of weeks. So first off, the mic, it sounds incredible. It is something that this is a large diaphragm dynamic microphone. If you know what a condenser microphone is and a dynamic microphone are, usually for a condenser, you think something like what Chris has, the Yeti. But you may, for a dynamic, on the other hand, think of what SP is using, the Blue 100 or the Audio-Technica AT2005, or in his right hand is the Audio-Technica, I'm just looking, ATR 2100. So you might think of those. Now, those dynamic
nerds.
those dynamic microphones that SP was just holding up are small diaphragm dynamic microphones. This has a large, so the idea is that it picks up more stuff. It ends up sounding a little more full. What you find on the condenser side of things is that it tends to be a large diaphragm condenser, so it picks up a lot of the fullness, but the thing is, a condenser tends to pick up more of your surroundings than a dynamic. So this is geared towards more of the studio audience, the folks who may have some stuff going on in the background, the newsrooms, all that stuff, or just my kids screaming in the other room. So you can't use a condenser mic. You need to use a dynamic, but you want to get more of the fullness. And absolutely, I believe that this delivers on it versus a smaller dynamic microphone. Now, what else have I noticed about that? Because that you're probably going to see that jumping up to any microphone in the $400 price point. You're going to notice that there is an increase in clarity from a $100 microphone. Well, pro number one, this here requires relatively little gain. Some of the other microphones, like the Shure SM7B, you will find that they require a ton of gain in order to get it to work. Yes, this requires a fair amount of gain, but from what I've seen, not as much as, say, the Shure. One other nice thing about it is it does pick up from a reasonable distance. As I move back, the sound sounds mostly the same as I start to get closer as well. So not a lot of proximity effect with it, which is kind of nice. Something that allows me to shift around a little bit. Physically, It feels beefy. It's got some good weight to it. If I'm going to spend $400 on my mic, I don't care if you throw a weight in it. I'm not saying they did, but I want it to feel like a quality mic. But speaking of quality, I find that the clip is actually a pretty decent clip. I'm able to tighten it to the point that it doesn't slide. But if I did want to grab it, I'm not going to do it to hurt your ears. It's not that hard, or it's not that hard to move it. Easy to do. Pretty well designed clips. I've used lots of clips where you tighten them up. They feel good. You wake up the next morning and the mics are falling down. Not at all with this clip here. And honestly, you can see I'm not using a windscreen on it. If you use it properly, put it off on the side, it has a bit of a built-in windscreen. It does a good job. My peas aren't popping.
You don't pop your peas?
If I went and I talked right into it, my peas would pop. But that's not how you're supposed to use it. You're supposed to slightly put it off the side. So no, I don't need a windscreen. So they did a really good job designing that. A lot of microphones you'll find, they advertise that they has a built-in windscreen in it, but your peas are still popping away. Not on this microphone here. And of course, what is really nice is it does not use phantom power. Most dynamics don't. Once in a while, you'll see there is a dynamic, an active dynamic that requires phantom. But what's nice is that means that I don't need to have a separate phantom power unit around to power the microphone. Now, what are some of the cons that I've seen? Well, the gain, as I mentioned, it does not seem to need as much gain as what I've read the specs are for the Shure SM7B. But if you don't apply a reasonable amount of gain to it, it starts to sound a little bit muddy. It's something that I've noticed. I've had to turn it up a bit in order to get that full sound. Now, what happens when I turn it up? I end up having to choose, am I going to send a signal that is going to make the most of the stuff when I talk like this go out to the internet quietly and enhance it later? Or am I going to end up making it so when I talk really loud, it clips? Well, neither of those are good options. So you're probably going to need to invest in a compressor to have a decent sound if you are doing live broadcasting. So I found when I was doing some tests, there was quite a bit of peaks and quite a bit of valleys. So what I mean is when I did slightly raise my voice, the waveform would get very loud. And when I ended up talking quiet, it would get quite quiet. So really a compressor is probably going to be your best friend if you invest in this. The clip that is included, while it is strong, it is not a shock mount. So I won't do it again, but if I was to move my mic at all, you're going to hear everything. There is a shock mount you can buy, but it is, I think, about $180. So the included clip does leave a lot to be desired as far as sound reduction goes. And the other thing that I do have to be really fully honest with, this mic is very bottom heavy as far as what I've noticed. I'll be honest, I don't have a lot of deep tone to my voice, but it is something that in my headphones, when I do the recording, if I leave it unmanipulated, usually I hear a lot of lower tones. So I do have to balance that a little bit in post-production. That is something that as you start to get a bass to your voice, SP, I'll admit, you have a bass to your voice.
Yes, I do. Yes, I do.
I was going to say you're using the wrong mic. That is something that you're going to run into some issues with that. Now, can you play with that? Yes. Throw an EQ in line. Maybe if you adjust your gain a little bit, turn it up a little bit more, you're probably going to get some more of the high end. But it's maybe for someone with a deeper voice, not necessarily a good fit. For me, I think that it's not deep enough with my voice that it would be a showstopper, because I do think that if I found I was at all bassy, I could fix it in post-production, but it is fairly heavy in the bass end. And the other thing that I have to say with this mic that is pretty shocking is it's a new microphone, and they have priced it in Canada at $449. The Shure SM7B, which is a staple microphone, an industry staple. You'll see it on all sorts of YouTube videos at Sirius XM radio, at radio stations, other various broadcast institutions. It's $439. The BP40 is $449, so $10 more for it. And then the Electro Voice RE320, which is I think technically maybe a step down from the SM7B, but it still is a fairly podcast standard or high-end podcast standard. It's like $339 in Canada, and the Heil PR40, which is one that you might have heard through the podcasting circles, it's $418 in Canada. So for a new microphone, I think that they've priced it a little bit odd because it will intimidate some people because most places when you buy a mic, you can't return it. So that's a pretty intimidating price point when you know that some of these other staples are less money. Overall, though, you're going to get more details, more of an audio test on GonnaGeek.com, but that is something that if you actually want to hop back a little bit during the first news point, if you didn't catch it, I switched over to my blue microphone so you could hear a little bit of the difference because it is a much fuller sound. And yeah, like I said, you will definitely notice that just jumping up from a $100 price point mic, but it does offer some rich sound overall.
I love the sound that it's giving you, Steven. I don't know if I would like it for my voice. I think I'd be more along the lines of the Shure SM7B or the Electro Voice RE320. Also, the Electro Voice is the only one that we're talking about that has two other steps to it. You have the RE20 and the RE27. Both are used in broadcasting circles. So there's that. I, right now, have to switch mics because this is the audio-technica 2005 that I'm using right now. And on my boom stick, I have the Blue 100. The reason why I switched to this is I just want to demonstrate that you're getting almost just within like 98% of as good a sound as you're getting with that BP40 with a mic that you can get on sale for $45, $50. So don't think that you have to run out if you're podcasting to get this BP40. Also with that BP40, you're possibly going to have to get a preamp. You're going to have to use it with an audio interface or a mixer. This AT2005 you can use with XLR or USB. So if you're a new podcaster, don't let this expensive mic shock you from not doing it because you can do it with mics that are way cheaper and way simpler. We as audiophiles, Steven and I like a little bit, we want to get that extra like 5% or 2% sound out. So that's why we're investigating, I'll say the $300 point, $300 to $500 point microphone like the BP40 or all the ones that he mentioned. I think the only one he left out was the Rode Procaster.
That's true.
So there
that's
you go.
True. But you know, one thing that you may notice there is SP was he had the mic right on him, and without the mic foam, things were popping away, and I don't get that with the BP40. So it really does depend on your use case. You may find it's more convenient for you if you're doing video. Maybe you want to keep it away from you. Maybe it's worth the money. That is a big advantage with going with a large diaphragm dynamic microphone like this. But yeah, it is a new mic on the market. You could check it out. I'm not here to plug it. They sent it for me to review. I just wanted to make sure to do my due diligence and share it with you first on the GonnaGeek podcast. And now that you have fallen asleep, I'm sure, because you're used to SP's peeing in space stories, I will return to SP to take us out for the night.
Well, in my best Sean impersonation, if you're thinking about microphones, you need to think about the birdcage. Because if you're trying to mic a bird, you need to think about how many inputs you need in your audio interface. You need to think about how loud the bird is going to talk. You need to think about, do I want a condenser? Do I want the whole room? Or do I want just the bird itself?
Okay, we've strung this along too much. What SP is getting at is JS has a lovely bird, and we always joke off the podcast that we're going to mic the bird one day and bring him in as the 5th member of the GonnaGeek podcast. JS, I'm still not saying no to it.
We should give the bird the $400 mic.
It's going to give him a rich, fantastic sound. I see no way this backfires.
No, not at all. All right, well, that's going to go ahead and do it for Steven's geeky stuff and for GonnaGeek episode 110. Before I go today, though, I do want to remind everybody that we are part of the GonnaGeek network. Now, also on the GonnaGeek network is a show that Chris Farrell does. It's called ATGN. That's their official theme. ATGN. No. But ATGN just had episode 173, and Naki had more poop stories.
She did.
It was
becoming
comedy
a
gold.
recurring theme.
Absolutely.
I wanted to shut that podcast off all the way to work Monday morning. Come on. Oh, talking about
thanks for that ringing endorsement, SP.
Things that those kids do. Oh, I can't believe it. Like, oh, I can't not listen to that.
But they also did debut a brand new game called Don't Get Me Started. This is something that the ATGN crew does best, and it's rant and rave. So I encourage you to check out episode 173 on the GonnaGeek podcast of All Things Good Nerdy ATGN. Now, this leads perfectly into a question I want to leave you, the listener, with today. It is a poll, a sort of informal poll that we're conducting, and we'd love to hear what you have to say for next week. And Anthony Bachman has already responded. I won't tell you his answer. I'll tease you for next week. But what the question is do you think Marvel would realistically give a lead role to someone who also is in a high-risk sport such as UFC? Now, this is geared towards everybody. Ronda Rousey came out and said she wants to be Captain Marvel. And everybody's like, oh, that'd be great. That'd be great. But the question is, this is a character that is going to lead a franchise of its own. Are they going to really cast somebody who is jumping into the UFC ring on a regular basis? So we want to know what you say, or what you have to say about this. You can find us at GonnaGeek on Twitter, facebook.com/GonnaGeek. And when all else fails, go to GonnaGeek.com, get all of our contact information, including our phone number, which is 567-343-GEEK. That's 567-343-4335. And we will get to Anthony's feedback in 2 weeks when we return, because we will be away next week. I know, bombshell at the end of the show here. So, for episode 110 of the GonnaGeek.com podcast, I'm Stephen John Drew.
I'm Director Stargate Pioneer.
I'm going to go pee in space.
I'm never going to mess up this part of the segment because I always go last because it's easy for my brain.
Bye!
From everyone here at the GonnaGeek.com podcast, thanks for listening. If you like what you heard, please give us a 5-star review on iTunes. We encourage you to send your feedback by email to podcast@GonnaGeek.com. You can find all of our show history at GonnaGeek.com/official podcast. And while you're there, why not head over and check out all of the geeky podcasts on the GonnaGeek network? The music heard on this show is by Kevin MacLeod of Incompetech.com. Thanks for listening, and we will see you again next week.